Hey everyone, it's the Knitty Professor, and the question of the day is, can I get out of this sock knitting rut that I've gotten myself into due to the stress of the holidays and the dogs in my life? In fact, we may have I'm not sure. Yeah, the dog situation gets a little wild because my son's older puppy is tricky to tame, and then I have my younger puppy. So when I want to sit down to knit, I'm like, am I going to work on that big sweater or that Colorwork project where I have to follow a pattern where I can't get up because I'm in the middle of a row or whatever? And I just reach for socks. And it's to the point where I've balled up. So I showed y'all some yarn I was thinking about. And I've balled some up, and I might just start some more socks because I'm making good progress on the ones that I've been working on. My favorite pair that I've been working on the past couple days is this one I showed some of y'all in a short recently. This pair right here, so I have the first one completed. It's been a little while since I got that done. Not even sure when I got it done, but this one is growing, and it's very satisfying. I was like, how long am I going to be on this purple? I want to get to the pink. So finally got into the pink, and what happens is you get a few pink stripes and then a few purple stripes, and then you're back in pink land again. So I have a feeling that this sock it's going to be similar to the first. It's going to end up mainly pink at the top. What's going on, Ari? Huh? Don't chew on my knitting bags. I've got both of the puppies with me here, so I can monitor their progress or lack thereof. They play well together. Now, let me just show you a couple more. I think, I did a German video on this the other day, and I kind of went into why is it that when I am stressed, socks are like the thing to knit on, because it's not always like even the most comfortable. I use zero needles, and my hands would get numb if I didn't take frequent breaks, so I have to kind of watch. But I don't know, it's just so satisfying. Something about the small scale. Oh, he's going to sleep now. Or just the fact that I've got the whole thing memorized. Like, I can work on socks. Now I know how to do everything. I know how to make the toe. I know how to make, obviously, the foot. That's the easy part. I know how to make the heel. I know how to make the shaft. I know how to make the Jenny's stretchy bind off. And I can do it all now from memory. I think that's part of it. I've got it all figured out. Here's another one. So I'm almost done with sock number 1. Look at that yarn. I mean, isn't that just delicious? It's like sour apple candy or something like that. This is a German yarn, Schwedenwold, hand dyed, and I've got to get to the top now so I can start sock number 2, and it can take me an hour to start a sock toe, again, because I have to take frequent breaks. It's also, some people would call it fiddly, because I do the Turkish cast on, so doing the increases, and you have to, dig for that extra stitch to get it out of there, since I use the size 0 needles. And I want the toe to be strong, to be no gaps. So it's important to me to, I don't want to do it too tight, have to really watch. But it does take a little extra time. So what I do, because of the tension question, because, it's like, I gotta, really make this as tight as I can without going overboard, I use metal needles on those, and those aren't necessarily the most fun to work with. But there's something about finishing a sock toe that gives me this moment of satisfaction. I feel like I really just did something. It's like I set myself up for this months of joy or whatever, given how many socks I work on at a given time, to where I can enjoy working on that beautiful yarn. Hopefully it's beautiful. On occasion I knit utilitarian socks, but I can work on it and look forward to it for weeks and months at a time. Here's another sock where I've made really good progress. And I got this yarn, I remember very specifically, in Colorado Springs. It's a lot of fun. Very fun to work on. And that's another thing about socks. It's like, well, I'm bored with the pink sock. Today I'll work on the green one. Oh, today I'll work on the blue one, I'm gonna knit on a sock because my son got stuck. That was a crazy story. Our town is subject to winter weather, but it's also a small airport, and they don't have very many amenities. So Went to the airport, plane was delayed, ice, pilot, it was always a different story. And it ended up being delayed over 24 hours. And they just kept pushing it back. 90 minutes here, an hour there. And they had these people corralled, so they sent him home for a little while. But he was literally corralled behind security in this one waiting room that they have for all the flights, well, the two, that go out of our town on a daily basis, behind security, and couldn't leave. I mean, it was like being in a prison. And worst of all, there's no eatery. It's not like a big airport where you can actually amuse yourself, go sit down and have a meal or go to the bar. They literally, all they had was a vending machine. And he was stuck there, and finally they got on the plane at midnight, and then he called at 2 a.m. He's like, I'm still here. They couldn't de-ice the tail. Like, I don't know. So it was just such a mess. And again, so stressful. And then yesterday had to drive him to where he could take the bus to go to a different city. And that was stressful. And some people were monkeying around on the highway. I don't know. Stress. So tonight I'm probably going to do some more sock knitting. I might work on this sock. Isn't that adorable? I just want to eat that. It's like bubble gum. I mean, that yarn is like candy. I think I got this at the festival in Fargo, Red River Valley Fiber Festival. And it's just the yummiest yarn. And it's beautiful. It knits up really well. One of you asked recently, where do you get all that sock yarn? Because, obviously you're not going to get it at Hobby Lobby. You're not going to get it at Michael's or something. They don't have this kind of quality yarn. And literally, whenever I travel, I make a point of going to a yarn store. And generally, that's the souvenir, is sock yarn. And I kind of reached the point where I had so much that past couple trips, I've picked up another souvenir, like maybe something to spin. But I'm finishing enough socks, and I'm starting to wear some of the ones out because all I wear is hand knit socks. That's literally all I wear. I might wear Nike socks 2 days a year. I mean, there's just nothing better than wearing wool socks that you knit to fit your foot. Here's another one that I've made some good progress on. It's it's got this copper patina type stuff going on with the bronze. I mean, it's just yummy. I just love this color of yarn. And I think I literally bought yarn to make a hat that would match it. Of course, the other reason why I love wearing these socks is because I'm a boot girl, and they just go perfectly with the 6, 7, 8-inch boots. It's just an ideal combination, and my feet are generally, in spite of how old I am, they're pretty happy because of that. So there's another one that I might work on tonight. Here's the one where I balled up this yarn thinking, well, maybe I could cast this one on. Isn't that a stunning green? That's just gorgeous. It's kind of looking a tad bluish gray in this space, but when I hold it under the lamp, I get more of this. It's almost like a deep emerald. This yarn is from Living Dreams yarn. I found it online. I think that's where they exist. I don't even know where it's from. I think it's from the States. So it's Galilea. I'm guessing that's the colorway. 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. But I might cast that one on. Or there's another one I was thinking about casting on. Now, both the puppies are sound asleep. How nice. Here's another one. Sorry, I'm messing up your pillow, Ari. Sorry about that. He learned how to get down the stairs today, so that was a big deal. Here's another one that I might just cast on. Isn't that yummy? Again, it's like candy. It's just so much fun. And on a cold winter day where it's gray and it's drab and it's either snowy or icy or muddy, this just gives me happy thoughts. And yeah, I might be able to work on this one. Some of these yarns I've even, I don't know, they hang around and I lose the damn labels, but I got it somewhere and it's good quality. That's about all I can tell you. And I'm looking forward to knitting it. And I literally went through every hank of sock yarn that I have a day or so ago. I have them in 2 buckets. That's how much I have. One bucket is half let lopey, so it's not like just horrible. But it was so much fun to go through the sock yarn and just think about, which one should I work on next? Isn't this dreamy? Look at this sort of dusty purple with, it's almost gray or maybe like lavender pooling stuff going on. I almost went to my needle collection. I was going to show off how many pairs of sock needles I have. I believe it or not, with all the socks that I have cast on that are ready to work on, I still have, 4 or 5 sets of size 0 needles. This one I can show you. It's a Stephen B. If you've been with me a while, you've seen some of these yarns. You're like, yep, that's familiar. But some of you are new and you're like, I'd like to learn how to knit socks. And it took me about a year to figure it out, to, get comfortable with it. Because, my first pairs of socks, I wear them. They don't necessarily have the same techniques that I use, that I memorize, for what I wear now. Or make now. I've made them all the same way now for 5 years. But, they turn out fine. Here's another one I'm excited about. This sock, it's sock number 1, but still, when you have that many going, it's always cool to reach these little milestones, like, yay, the toe's done, yay, the heel's done. So this sock yarn my daughter gave me, she bought it in Scotland. And let me see if I have the label. Yes, I do. This is a really cool yarn. It is 100% wool, Exmoor sock. So, my first time making socks out of 100% wool. However, the toe and the heel I am making from leftover sock yarn that does have, I believe, 20% nylon. So I'm using, trying out this way of doing a combined where I have wool for the foot and the shaft, but reinforced nylon for the heel and the toe. And for those of you who are interested, some of you have expressed interest in knowing how I make them. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I woke Ari up again. And so for the toe, I do a Turkish cast on, like I say. And, whenever you learn how to make socks, you want to figure out the dimensions that will work for your foot or whoever's foot you are making it for. Now, I knit tight, and I tend to knit my feet and the shaft of the sock a little longer because I use the size 0 needle. And so when I stretch them on, they kind of stretch out. I have a lot of negative ease with them, which is what I want because I want them to support my foot. But I only do 60 stitches around. Now these obviously are just plain stockinette. There's no color work. If I was to do color work socks, I would probably do maybe 76 stitches, or I might have to do a swatch on. I might do even more because especially I use DPNs. Some people use 9-inch circulars. Is that the one that people use? Or 2 at a time, different kinds of stuff. I just use zeros, double pointed needles. That's just the way I do it. But I do 60 stitches in the round, stockinette, just plain. So when I start for the Turkish cast on, I cast on 14. And then I make my increases every other row, and I get up to 60. And then when I get to the heel, I use the sweet tomato heel. So instead of 4 needles, which I have going on right now, you're going to put the sock onto 3 needles. So you're going to have, in my case, so it's thirds, right? So I have 20 going across the foot and then 20 on either side of the heel and knit back and forth doing the sweet tomato heel technique. That's a technique by Kat Bordy that I found a video on. She has a really good video. Unfortunately, she passed away, but as far as I know, the video is still there. At some point, I'm not really technically equipped to do how-to videos, but I could try it, see if I could show how I do it. I arrange the stitches on my needles too in a way that's a little bit unique because I prefer not to purl when I'm switching needles. I prefer to just knit when I'm switching needles. So I arrange these when I'm doing the ribbing in a way that allows me to switch needles always on a knit stitch. So I have this cute little formula where I have 15. The first needle has 14, second one has 16, and the others have 15 on them because it's always 60 stitches. And that just works for me. To be fair, I have done socks with a bit thinner yarn that ended up being tight, but since they're wool, it doesn't really matter. But, I know a lot of people do 64 stitches or 68 or 72. And it's interesting that rut, right? You know, it's like the low stress rut of, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it for years. It works for me. Wouldn't it be fun to be a little bit more adventurous? Now I have the means, and I'll show you some of the books I have. I'd be curious if you have experience with this, and especially, do you have experience with Colorwork socks? Because that's something I'm really interested in trying. So this book is called The Sock Knitter's Workshop, and I have a page marked, right? So I have consulted this. I haven't really done a whole lot with my consultation, but here it's got some stuff about casting on with your DPNs, which is exactly how I do it. It's got a lot of cool information in here. Tips on working the heel, all kinds of tips. Different heels that you can make. Short row heel with round shaping, reinforced shaping, wrap stitch heel, gusset, increases, decreases, heels joined at the foot. I'm sure there's stuff about the shaft, and there's something about mock heel, all kinds of stuff in here. Definitely a book that I could be consulting if I were less under stress. Folk socks. This has some interesting patterns, which I've considered doing. Now, here are some where, again, we've got more or less like one color going on, but then color work on the shaft, which is something that would make sense for me to maybe as a starting point, not necessarily do color work on the foot, but do it more where the shaft is. Then I would have to move the ribbing up, because I do ribbing all the way up 8.5 inches, but a lot of people just do ribbing like an inch or two at the top. And that's where color work would work, you know. So there are a number of interesting socks in here from different traditions. This is a pair of Finnish socks. They're Greek socks. They're Latvian socks. It's a really interesting book. And, you know, I might end up only doing like a couple pairs out here, but it's nice to have that variety and have the inspiration. I just, you know, I haven't gotten there yet to where I'm actually doing it. Country socks, Ukrainian socks, all kinds of stuff. Now Summer's waking up because her dad just got home. Around the World in Knitted Socks. This is a really fun book, and I've come so close to casting on socks from this book. Again, they're color work, so Delft blue. Really, you know, appealing. I mean, I'm like, man, I should just, you know, I love color work. Of course, then my socks would be less relaxing to make, which is probably one of the reasons why I haven't gone there yet. But I'd be curious if you've tried, you know, different kinds of variations on the theme of socks and like what your experience has been, if you found it still relaxing or challenging, or, you know, like how did they fit? How does it feel to wear socks that are stranded versus ones that are just stockinette? Because it's got to feel different, right? I imagine I'd have to use a bigger needle, maybe a 1 or maybe a 2. And then I have this German book, Lasse Socken stricken, which is by this pair, these guys from, I think they're from the Netherlands. Dennis and Mr. Knitbear. And Lasse, it's like, you know, it's supposed to be like taking it easy. I mean, look at these. These are just, gosh, you know, they make me salivate just about as much as some of that yarn does. I really should try them. Worst comes to worst, I could just use these motifs in some sweaters. But, I mean, are these gorgeous? This is just, I don't even know if this book exists in English. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I just found it in German. I was like, I'm going to snag it, because obviously German doesn't present any problems for me. So, these colors. And these guys, they agree with me on the whole color thing. They just combine them in a different way. It's not, you know, dyed into the yarn. It's, let's just have the boldest, most fun color socks that we can, like in this Op Art socks book. Again, so appealing, and I just, I would have to put on my thinking cap, right, to, oh my gosh, this is just insane, right? I mean, it would be fun. It would be fun. I think maybe if I can get to a point where I'm less stressed, where the dogs are older, and I'm not preparing to teach a brand new course in the spring, and things are just a little bit more settled, then maybe. And I would love your advice, like, you know, I do 60 stitches in the round on 0 needles. Like, how would I need to change that to do colorwork socks that fit similarly, right? Look at that. Just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And it would be fun to wear these. I just have to imagine, I almost think you'd have to use, like, thinner yarn, you know, because it's stranded. So you've always got 2 strands of yarn going on at one time or another. And I've got the 2 books that I know of from Lumi Kermitsa, Knit Without Limits, Wild Mittens Unreleased Socks. And a lot of times I'll just, sorry about the reflection, but I'll just like take a peek at this, even if it's just ideas for stranded color work. just so full of imagination. They got kitty cats, which are very appealing to me. And then I guess you're going to have to knit over, like do a double, what do they call that? When you embroider an extra color of yarn over the existing yarn to make the green eyes. A lot of these are both mittens and socks. I'm not sure how this is divided up. I'm seeing a ton of mittens for the moment. But yeah, here's I'm going to hold it up backwards. The sock version of the cats. I mean, that's, it's like totally me. But they look hard. And it already takes me a while already to knit socks. So I imagine it's going to take me a while to knit Colorwork socks. I did start a pair of Colorwork socks. So it's not like I haven't given it some thought or tried it. Just haven't really. I've only gotten part way up the foot because I recognized right away I'm going to have to approach this differently from how I currently approach my stockinette socks. There's one more book from the same author that, again, it's just a lot of fun. Look at that tiger. And they're like little skulls. Just a lot of fun. Another variation cat one. Here's the skulls. A little bit better picture there. Just a lot of fun. So, sock knitting is the kind of thing that can be very addicting. And that's a plus under circumstances where, life is a little bit chaotic and a little bit difficult to deal with. And you need to relax. So you need to knit. But what you don't need is knitting that's going to add to your stress. So yeah, maybe I should finish this sock tonight. It might de-stress me a little bit more while I've got sleepy puppies instead of puppies who are chewing on each other and making each other cry, which has been going on a lot today. And I have just one more thing to show you, which is some really cool yarn that I got for Christmas. It's the only yarn I got as a gift from my sister, which is awesome. So I'm going to say Rambouillet, even though I think most people in this country would say Rambouillet. Juniper Moon Farm. I'm curious if you are familiar with this yarn. Extra fine Rambouillet wool, an American merino breed. So since it's American, probably the Rambouillet pronunciation is correct, right? I've got the colors Daffodil. This one is Daffodil, and this one is Sedona. And my sister's an artist, so she obviously picked out yarns that will look gorgeous together. It's very fluffy, but it's a DK. And it's kind of cool. You may be familiar with this brand, but I get this whole little pamphlet about the sheep and the wool, and celebrating American wool. It's got stuff about the characteristics, warmth, softness, elasticity, moisture wicking, and what Rambouillet is known for, a little bit of history. It's just cool. And I guess these are the colors that it comes in. So yeah, that was my gift, my one yarn gift I got, which is plenty because, as you all know, I've got plenty. So I might knit a hat. I don't know. What would you knit with this? What would you knit? It's DK. But I'm toying with a hat. You know what would be fun? Would be a stocking hat. I've only made one stocking hat, and the pattern I used was kind of lopsided, so I think I might be better off making my own pattern. If you know a good pattern for a stocking hat, let me know that too. We shall see. So in any case, I hope you all are set for a really great new year. I think this is one of those years where one of the best things you can do is to do what a lot of people I know are doing, which is to limit your consumption of the news, because it can get to you. And first and foremost, we want to survive the next months, years. But knitting is obviously a great diversion. I hope you're getting to enjoy that a lot, and that you will enjoy that a whole heck of a lot during 2026. So everyone take care. I'll probably do a short or two over the new year, and see you all on the other side. Ciao.